Inside the Magic, show number 344 for November 6th, 2011. It is Sunday, November 6, 2011. This is show 344 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I'm your host, Ricky Briganti. Got another great show packed with Disney and theme park news and a whole lot more fun. If you ever have any news, tips, or questions, you can always write to me at ricky@insidethemagic.net, or you can call and leave a message, as so many have done in the last couple of weeks. We'll be sharing those a little bit later on the show. The number for that is 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486, and now let's get on with the show. And this week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. Don't miss the holiday season at the Disneyland Resort, where you can save 25 to 30% when you stay at one of the Disneyland Resort hotels for arrivals most nights between November 1st, which was a few days ago, and December 24th, the night before Christmas. The offer expires December 10th, so you're going to want to call Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387, or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive your free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And by Audible, get a free audiobook download and a trial over at audibletrial.com/insidethemagic. You get access to over 85,000 titles to choose from for your iPod and your MP3 player. And by signing up for a trial, you also help out Inside the Magic. So we thank you for that. And, of course, thanks to listeners and viewers like you for your monthly recurring donations, your single donations, or clicking through any of our affiliate links over at InsideTheMagic.net. It all goes to support us, and we thank you for that. And now, let's start off the show with our trip around the world. Well, it is another week. It is November. Halloween's all over, which is disappointing. Of course, that's my favorite time of the year. But we must move on from there. And actually, I've got some pretty big Inside the Magic news to mention here at the top of the show. Just yesterday was the announcement of the winners of the 2011 Podcast Awards, and after many years of being nominated and not actually winning anything, Inside the Magic finally won a podcast award. We are the winners of the 2011 award for Best Produced Podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. I thank each and every one of you who voted so much. It's really, really appreciated, and I'm so happy to finally bring home one of these awards. And Best Produced is a fantastic award. You know, I put a lot of time and effort into making the show look and sound as good as it does week after week, and it's definitely an honor to receive an award that you know, is just all about how the show is put together, which is fantastic. So thanks again to everybody who voted numerous times for us in the Podcast Awards. We finally won one. Thanks. And, you know, I just mentioned Halloween, and, of course, Halloween is a big deal here at Inside the Magic headquarters, a.k.a. my house, and we spent all day on Monday. After the rain subsided, we spent all day putting up decorations, and you know, it turned out really great. I think it was one of the best Halloweens we've had here in quite a while. All the trick-or-treaters that showed up really enjoyed everything that we put out. It was a very different feel this year than we have had in recent years. If you want to see lots of photos and some video of what my house looked like at Halloween, head on over to InsideTheMagic.net, where I've posted all of that. It's on our YouTube channel as well. It was a whole lot of fun. Got about I don't know, 80 or so trick-or-treaters, plus their parents and friends and other random people that came by. Even some people came by on horseback, which was new. That was unexpected and a fun treat at the end of the night. So definitely head on over to the website if you want to see what we did for Halloween. And before we launch into Disney news this week, I do want to put in one more mention, of course, with Halloween being over. We're now moving into the Christmas season, the holiday season, the whatever season you want to call it, and it's basically the season where you buy stuff. And, of course, a great way, and I say this every year, and you all are so great about doing this, and it's a huge help to Inside the Magic. If you're going to be doing Christmas shopping, or any kind of shopping, really throughout the year, but particularly in this holiday season, if you're going to be doing it on Amazon, great way to support Inside the Magic and not cost you an extra penny is go to insidethemagic.net/Amazon. And if you go there and click through that link before shopping on Amazon, before adding anything to your cart, we'll actually get credit for everything that you then add to Amazon and you buy on Amazon. And we make a very, very small percentage of whatever you buy, but it is a huge help. So I definitely appreciate anybody who does your Christmas shopping through insidethemagic.net/Amazon. All right, so speaking of Christmas, as I have said several times now, Halloween is over, and it's moving into a magical time of year where the holiday season out here at Walt Disney World has actually already begun. It began 2 days ago, November 4th, on Friday, with the very first lighting of Cinderella Castle. It was the Cinderella's Holiday Wish Show and the Castle Dream Lights coming up and sparkling their way at the Magic Kingdom. And Christmas music is playing, and there's Christmas decorations up, and it is certainly a magical time of year where everybody can enjoy the holiday festivities, which right now it's just the castle, but just coming up a couple of days from now is the very first, for the year, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. It's this coming Tuesday is the first one, believe it or not. They move right into from Halloween to Christmas a week later, and there's some new things at the Christmas party this year, actually some new characters. Duffy the Disney Bear is going to be there at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. He's going to be in the Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Time parade, as well as taking photos with guests in Town Square. In another new addition this year, Phineas and Ferb will be making an appearance in Tomorrowland. And then also on the same day, November 8th, this Tuesday, the new holiday version of the Magic, the Memories, and You Cinderella Castle projection show is going to debut, and Disney has released a few additional details about what the holiday edition of the show means. Cinderella Castle is going to be virtually wrapped in bows and boughs and gift paper, wrapping paper, ribbons, ornaments, candy stripes, strands of lights, and lots of gingerbread. And it's not clear if the whole show is going to be taken over by this holiday motif or if it's just going to be a segment of the show. We'll have to wait and see. On Tuesday, I plan on being there Tuesday night to see it for the very first time, and of course I'll record it and bring it to everybody. Then the It's a Small World version of the Magic, the Memories, and You out at Disneyland in California will debut a little bit later. It's going to be November 18th is when that is going to start in California. So those of you on the other coast can enjoy the holiday version of the projection show a little bit later this month. But continuing with Walt Disney World, certainly plenty more holiday entertainment to enjoy throughout November and December. Over at Epcot, the Candlelight Processionals begin on November 25th, going nightly through December 30th. That is the telling of the Christmas story with celebrity narrators included in park admission. It happens over in the America area of the park of World Showcase. Over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, we have the annual and very bright and always enjoyable Osborne family spectacle of dancing lights, which I look forward to seeing once again this year. It's always a treat. I don't know if they're going to be doing anything new this year. Usually they try to work in one or two new things and promote some new things. Maybe there'll be some Muppet editions. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that starts just a few days from now, November 10th through January 7th, actually. So even if you come after Christmas, even if you come after New Year's, you still have a full week in January to enjoy the Osborne lights over at Hollywood Studios. Then over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, Mickey's Jingle Jungle Parade is going to be happening every day throughout the holiday season as well. But out at Disneyland, there's certainly plenty more Christmas and holiday fun to enjoy. It's definitely not just the overlay of the Magic, Memories, and You over at It's a Small World, but rather an entire holiday overlay that they do at Disneyland every year. The whole attraction becomes a Christmas winter wonderland, and they sing Christmas music inside, and the whole outside gets lit up in multicolored lights, and it's really just a wonderful time to be out at Disneyland. In addition, Sleeping Beauty's castle becomes Sleeping Beauty's winter castle, and rather than out here in Orlando where you have Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party as a separately ticketed event, well, Disneyland actually includes their Christmas entertainment just inside the park. It's, nothing that you have to pay extra for, so you get the Christmas Fantasy Daytime Parade to enjoy as part of just your normal, regular, everyday park admission. And you also get the Believe in Holiday Magic Fireworks Show, some snowfall over Main Street, USA. Mickey's Toontown Fair, or I guess it's just Mickey's Toontown in Disneyland, is going to receive a new tree this year. It's an 18-foot cartoon-style Christmas tree. And over at Disney California Adventure, there's going to be some new additions for Christmas this year. World of Color is going to receive a holiday sequence featuring Lanny and Wayne from Prep and Landing. Looking forward to, well, I don't think I'm going to have a chance to see that in person, but I'm looking forward to seeing somebody online, I'm sure, will put it there, and maybe we'll have a chance to do that as well. Good, fun holiday additions to both coasts, to Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And, of course, I mentioned the Magic, the Memories, and you, and there's actually sort of a virtual online version of the show that you can put together now using some pretty impressive technology. Over at DisneyMemoriesShow.com, you'll find, basically it'll ask to access your photos on Facebook. And if you grant that access, you'll see some interaction with Goofy, as well as a small version of the Magic, the Memories, and You show based on your Facebook photos. So a lot of fun. Check it out. DisneyMemoriesShow.com. And a few days ago on Halloween, Disney offered a bit of a Halloween treat for those who were in the Magic Kingdom. Actually, a very small, limited number of guests who were at the Magic Kingdom got to experience Talking Mickey Mouse in Town Square Theater. I think last week we had mentioned that Talking Mickey was on the way, though we hadn't heard of any reports of him being there yet. Well, then Disney officially confirmed that they are testing conversational Mickey at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World for the very first time. Now, don't rush out to the Magic Kingdom expecting to converse with Mickey, because it is a very, very, very limited test that they are doing, maybe only like 20 or 30 minutes a day with a very select group of guests. The majority of guests going to Town Square Theater do get to meet Mickey Mouse, of course, but he'll be saving his voice, as they say, for most guests. And so we'll just have to see what the future of Talking Mickey is. But if you want to see what it looked like and what it sounded like for Mickey to be over at the Magic Kingdom, head on over to InsideTheMagic.net, where I have posted a video of Talking Mickey in action, courtesy of the Disney Parks blog. More over at the Magic Kingdom, a bit of artwork, actually a very large amount of artwork was released or shown off this week for Under the Sea, The Journey of the Little Mermaid, as part of the new Fantasyland expansion at the Magic Kingdom, where Imagineers have been hard at work over in the show scenic area of Hollywood Studios, working on the massive mural that's going to be in the load-unload area of the attraction when it opens. And it's just a pretty amazing sight. Disney Parks blog posted some video of them painting up this mural as well, so you're going to want to head over there to see it. It is going to look great when it's installed in the Magic Kingdom soon. Here's some sort of rumor-ish news. Entertainment Weekly this week is featuring a cover story on the new Muppet movie, which is coming out very soon, just a couple of weeks. And the movie's writer and one of its stars, Jason Segel, mentioned toward the end of the article that apparently Disney has been talking to him about a possible new Muppets attraction or Muppets ride somewhere or sometime. You know, this could just be one of those one-off things like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we had a new Muppets attraction? Oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then it doesn't go any further than that. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's interesting that it's at least mentioned in an article that there could be more Muppets working their way into the parks. I would certainly be all for that. Looking forward to seeing that movie very soon as well. Continuing out here to downtown Disney, actually in Walt Disney World, a new store has opened up this week on the west side of downtown Disney. It's called Something Silver, and it is a jewelry store. So if you are big into jewelry, then you're going to want to check out something silver at Downtown Disney. But something else is actually changing within Disney stores, though not at Downtown Disney. Disney stores across the country and across the world have actually discontinued their Cars, Ride Makers stations within the Imagination Park locations, except for the one in Times Square. So if you go to your local mall Disney store, like the one that recently opened in the Florida Mall here in Orlando, you're no longer going to see that sort of customizable table with the tools and put it all together. Apparently they weren't popular enough, and they were taking a huge amount of floor space away from retail sales, basically moving into this holiday season. So those have been ousted. However, you will still find the whole Ride Makers experience at Downtown Disney at Disneyland and out here at Walt Disney World. Let's talk some more holidays, but this time we're actually going to talk about Universal Orlando, where there's plenty of holiday excitement happening there beginning December 3rd. They don't do the November thing. They just start in December 3rd through January 1st. And, of course, the focus of holidays at Universal Orlando is Grinchmas and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. They're going to have the Grinchmas Hula Day spectacular show over at Islands of Adventure. Then at the Universal Studios Park, the Macy's Holiday Parade is returning with the addition of a 10-year milestone float. Of course, my favorite part of the Macy's Holiday Parade is the ability for regular park guests to be able to be pulled in to be balloon handlers in the parade, which I had a chance to do, I think, a couple of years ago, and it was just a phenomenal experience. I definitely recommend, if you want something extra special for the holiday season, head on over to Universal Studios in the morning, find the person or people who are recruiting to have you be balloon handlers for the day, and it'll be an experience you just won't forget. Something really, really fun. In addition to that, there are Mannheim Steamroller concerts are returning more than ever, 6 times this year, December 3rd, 4th, 10th, 11th, 17th, and 18th, as well as an a cappella group singing in their holiday village that they will be erecting very, very soon. Again, all that starts December 3rd. And Florida residents, if you plan on going to Universal a lot, they're actually offering a pretty good deal right now. You can get an annual pass for Universal Orlando. You can get 14 months for the price of 12. First deal I've seen coming out of that in quite a while. So definitely, go over there, Universal Orlando, if you're planning on doing it. You're a Florida resident, good deal. Give it a shot. And speaking of Universal, here's some interesting news. This may not be for Orlando. It may not happen at all, but it could be that more Harry Potter attractions seem to be on the way for theme parks. In an interview with Universal Studios, not just Universal Orlando, but the whole Universal Studios president and COO Ron Meyer, MovieLine.com asked if there's going to be any plans to build additional Harry Potter attractions outside of Orlando, and Meyer simply replied, yes. And that's it. He wouldn't elaborate further than that. So according to the president of Universal Studios, more Harry Potter theme park attractions are on the way somewhere outside Orlando, whether it's Hollywood or Singapore or somewhere else. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But Harry Potter fans should be pretty excited about that. Let's talk SeaWorld here for a second, because in just a couple of days on Tuesday, on November 8th, there's going to be an attraction announcement where the invitation that I received to see it says New Worlds are on our horizon. It shows a depiction of 3 little islands, a rainforest, a jungle, and Arctic islands. So that should be interesting. We'll see what SeaWorld has to announce on Tuesday. And again, another good deal if you're looking for more theme park fun and you're a Florida resident. SeaWorld has brought back its Fun Card, where you can pay for a day's admission and then come back for a year at no additional cost. And that included in that would be SeaWorld's Christmas celebration, where they have, as they put it, elves to Elmo and Santa to Shamu. That all starts on November 23rd and runs through the end of the year. One more non-bit of Disney, or rather bit of non-Disney news. A performance art group called Drip is going to be setting up a new permanent location over on International Drive here in Orlando, in which they're going to feature interactive, wet, and an intriguing dance show, along with a live rock band and a colored beer bar. It's going to be 2 doors down from Howl at the Moon. You can find out more about Drip at ilovedrip.com. All right, back to the world of Disney, and continuing with some holiday and Christmas themes here out at the Disneyland Resort. Just, I think, yesterday was the first day of taping of the Christmas Day Parade, the Disney Parks Christmas Day Parade for this year, and America's Got Talent host Nick Cannon was once again the MC dressed as Santa Claus this year at Disneyland, and I think the tapings continue today. No word about the tapings out here in Walt Disney World yet, though that usually takes place around the first week of December, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere around there. I'll certainly pass along any information that I find about getting tickets or being able to attend the Christmas Day Parade taping out here. It's usually quite the mess of a day. A lot of things going on, a lot of concerts, a lot of celebrities, but also huge crowds and busy, packed Main Street USA and Town Square and the Hub and everything. So anyway, I'll pass along whatever information I find out about this year's Christmas Day Parade tapings. Of course, if you don't go to the tapings, you can always watch the parade on ABC on the morning of Christmas Day, December 25th. Also out at the Disneyland Resort, recently at Walt Disney World started the new policy that if you don't cancel your dining reservations at most Walt Disney World restaurants, that you'll be charged a $10 per person fee for not canceling within, I think it was 24 hours of your reservation. Well, Disneyland Resort has said they are not following in suit there. They are not going to they're not going to add the similar cancellation fee, at least not at this time. I guess the problem is not so big out in California as it is in Florida, where people make a ton of reservations at this restaurant, that restaurant, and then just don't show up for any of them, and it makes it difficult for everybody else to get a reservation. Moving on to Hawaii now, where at Disney's Aulani Resort and Spa, a very special guest is going to be showing up very soon on November 14th. President Barack Obama is going to be holding a fundraiser at Disney's Aulani Resort as part of his re-election campaign. It'll be at November 14th at 9 a.m. It'll be a brunch for around 300 people, and of course Obama was born right there in Hawaii. Here's some sad news for fans of the ice cream of the future. Dippin' Dots, just a couple of days ago, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Apparently, they owe about $11.1 million to the bank. Not doing very well. Dippin' Dots, of course, is a popular theme park treat. It's at, Busch Gardens. It's at Universal. I'm sure it's at a number of other, I was up at Hershey when I was there, a number of other theme parks, and I am a big Dippin' Dots fan, so I'm hoping they can pull through this fiasco, if you will, of bankruptcy and stick around. I'd hate to see Dippin' Dots disappear completely. Back to the world of Universal Studios, but actually Universal Studios Singapore, and here's something I'm pretty excited about. Transformers The Ride has an opening date for the Singapore location. It's going to open on December 3rd. It's going to follow, of course, all the usual Transformers from the Michael Bay films and the Transformers franchise, Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, etc. It's actually going to be a new Autobot in the attraction called Evac, who's described as a stealth transportation Autobot designed to transport personnel and classified materials at hyper speeds. That will be the vehicle that you actually ride in. You're going to be riding in a Transformer, which is just a great idea. The ride's actually going to open also in California at Universal Studios Hollywood sometime in spring of 2012. Next year, in March, is going to be the debut of Disney's newest cruise ship, the Disney Fantasy, and FamilyFun.com is offering a chance to win a trip, a preview trip on that ship. The preview cruise would be March 26th through 29th, just before the actual maiden voyage, and you can enter that giveaway over at FamilyFun.com/fantasy sweeps. And as we move into the Christmas season, savings are always welcome. Save money wherever you can. Well, D23 members are going to be able to save a little bit more. Starting recently, some additional discounts have been announced for D23 members. I'll just run through these as quickly as possible. You can get $23 off of orders of $149 or more at Brookstone.com. a 15% savings on video games from THQ, a 10% discount on services offered by Super Shuttle and ExecuCar nationwide, including Southern California and Central Florida. That's actually a really good deal. If you need a shuttle to or from the airport anywhere in the country, you can get 10% off as a D23 member. You get savings at the IMAX Theater at the California Science Center in Los Angeles, Madame Tussauds at Hollywood, the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library Museum in Simi Valley, and the Richard Nixon Library and Birthplace in Yorba Linda. A 10% off purchases at Two Scoops Ice Cream Parlor in Ko'olina, Hawaii, right near Aulani. 10% off a ride-along or driving experience at the Richard Petty Driving Experience out here in Florida at Walt Disney World. $10 off $50 or more at Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. And then, let's see, there are a few more. 10% off services at the Mandara Spa. I think these are the older offers that are continuing. D23 exclusive pricing on Mary Poppins on Broadway and Lion King in Las Vegas. Offers in ESPN Zone in Anaheim and House of Blues at Walt Disney World. And a few others that you probably already know about. So some pretty good savings there. I think the cheapest D23 membership, the silver level, is around $35. So if you plan on spending, more than that, or rather, if the savings will get you a savings of more than that, you might as well buy into it. You'll be a D23 member, and then you'll get your savings as well. And final bit of news this week ended up being a really busy news week, but this last bit is a whole lot of fun and certainly a great honor. John Lasseter, who I don't think needs any introduction here on this show, but I'll say that he's from Pixar and Disney and Imagineering, and he's just got his hand in everything. Well, he finally has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The ceremony was just a couple of days ago where his star was unveiled. Hosting the whole thing was Hollywood Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Laurent Gubler. And special guests in attendance at the ceremony were plenty of folks that Mr. Lasseter has worked with for a long time, including Bonnie Hunt, Owen Wilson, Brad Paisley, Emily Mortimer, John Ratzenberger, Patton Oswalt, Don Rickles, Randy Newman, and Cheech Marin. Many of those are from the Cars franchise, but John Ratzenberger, of course, has done a voice in every single Pixar film. Don Rickles was Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story series, and of course, Randy Newman, the songwriter of so many songs famous in Pixar films and many, many others. Apparently, John Lasseter's star was the 2,453rd star to be added to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So a big congratulations to John Lasseter on that wonderful honor. And that will do it for your news from around the world this week. And this week's tip is actually not so much a tip, it's a follow-up to last week's tip where I mentioned the tip of wearing your favorite sports team's jersey to the parks for some extra fun, some extra interaction with other guests and with cast members. Well, I actually had 3 people write in about reasons you may or may not want to do that. First, West Coast Brian makes the point saying, I just want to say that the tip of the week for show 343 is a great tip, but I have a story of it backfiring. My favorite sports team is the Seattle Sounders, and on a trip about a year and a half ago, I was walking around the park wearing a Sounders jersey. Now, you have to know that soccer is a major sport in the Northwest, but I forgot that most of the country doesn't watch the sport. Another thing you have to know is that most soccer teams sell advertising space on their jerseys. The advertisement tends to take up more space than the team's logo itself, so instead of people coming up to me and having a conversation about Seattle or soccer, I had people coming up to me and asking about the Xbox 360, the shirt sponsor. Not exactly the intended effect. So certainly something to look out for there. Thanks, Brian, for that additional tip. Ali from California adds, I wanted to comment on the tip you used on last week's show regarding your favorite sports team. Be careful what you wear because you may get heckled. My wife and I were at Walt Disney World this year, and one day we wore our Lakers/Mickey Mouse shirts. We walked through the Magic Kingdom, and I got a few boos here and there. It was all in good fun, although my wife felt a little uncomfortable, and I guess people there still weren't over the Lakers' magic outcome of 2009. Ali, definitely another good point there. And finally, Matt wrote in and said, in March, I went to Disneyland and was wearing a San Francisco Giants sweatshirt and hat. And while I was exiting the railroad in Tomorrowland, a cast member saw me and said that I was one of them, and he would let me pass just this once. I made a comeback about how they won the 2010 World Series, and then he went on about how they hadn't won since 1954. Then while walking away, he shouted, "Dodgers rule." While this might sound bad, it actually was really, really fun. It's one of those things you only get while at Disney. So yeah, thanks very much, Matt and Ollie and Brian, for those additional tidbits about wearing your favorite sports team's shirt to the park. Certainly has its many ways of interacting, whether it's good or bad or in between. So do it at your own risk. But regardless, it'll be all in good fun. Everyone else out there, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. And before we get to this week's main feature, I do want to put in a quick word about Lanyard Lab. If you've got a business to promote, or maybe you're attending a convention, or you're just every day at a school or a church, or you need to wear name tags around your neck, well, custom lanyards is really the best way to do that, and you can customize your own lanyards over at lanyardlab.com. That's LANYARDLAB.com. And over there, click on the Get a Quote button. They're all over the website, and you can submit all your details to us. We'll email you back with a price quote on anything you want to put on there: text, logos, colors, whatever it is. We'll actually send you proof of what it's going to look like over at, what it's going to look like when it's put together as a lanyard. And if you're happy with it, you can place your order online. You can make any changes you want. No obligation to purchase whatsoever. So check it out over at lanyardlab.com.
Inside the Magic DVD Review.
I've actually got a DVD review that I have never done before here on the show, or rather a type of review I've never done, because a crazy amount of DVDs have been released by Disney for the holiday season. Just this past Tuesday, 4 new 3D Blu-rays were released, and this coming Tuesday, another 4 are being released. So this week, for the first time ever, is a quadruple DVD review on Inside the Magic. We're going to combine 4 DVD reviews in one, and don't worry, it's not going to be long and drawn out and boring. It's actually very, 3 of them go right hand in hand, because, of course, I'm talking about the Toy Story series. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 have now come out on Blu-ray 3D. They're on Blu-ray, they're on regular DVD, digital download, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about all of the releases to see if you want to add them to your collection. Of course, people have been collecting the Toy Story movies and watching the Toy Story movies for many, many years now, and it's tough to decide, do I really want to rebuy this movie again and again and again every time Disney adds a new feature to it? Well, so let's run through it this year. This time around, I've had a chance to go through all of them. And starting with, of course, let me say, obviously all 3 are brilliant movies. Toy Story 1 was the first full-length CG film back in 1995, captivating and touching and hilarious, and introducing us to some great new characters that still hold up all these years later. But the question is, how is this new release of Toy Story 1? Well, it comes in a 4-disc combo pack. That's the 3D one, the Blu-ray one, the DVD, and the digital copy. And it's got a nice lenticular cover, as all of Disney's 3D releases do, which acts as a little bit of a collectible card. I always enjoy seeing the lenticular covers. They look 3D onto themselves. You kind of move it back and forth, left and right, and you see a 3D feature to it. But of course, you're not going to buy it just for a lenticular cover. You're buying it for Toy Story itself. Well, let's talk 3D first. This is not the first time Toy Story has been on Blu-ray, and Toy Story certainly looks great on Blu-ray, but this is the first time it's been in 3D for home release, and I'd say it looks pretty good in 3D. It did not blow me away. Certainly Toy Story, the very first film, has a bit of dated graphics. I mean, it was the very first full-length computer animated film. It still looks very good. But considering it was made in 1995, it doesn't look as good as, let's say, Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3, and as such, the 3D also does not look as good as the other two. It's not bad, but it doesn't translate quite as well to 3D as the other films, which I'll talk about more in just a minute. I would say don't necessarily rush out and get this new version of Toy Story unless you really, really want the 3D. The bonus features on both this release and Toy Story 2, I thought they did a really good job in the way they did it. I don't think I've ever seen any re-release do this. They actually separated the new bonus features on this new release from the ones you've probably already seen on the old DVDs. They have them in two separate categories when you pull up the menu, which is really nice. That way, if you've already watched all the bonus features on the previous release of the film, you can just skip those now and just focus on the new ones. They tout that there are more than 90 minutes worth of features on this Toy Story 1 release, but most of that 90 minutes you've already seen, probably, if you have one of the older releases. Some of the new features that are on the release include Buzz Lightyear's NASA mission logs, which is mildly entertaining. They released a lot of that stuff online or something similar, and it's when they actually put Buzz Lightyear, the toy, up in space for 400-something days, and it kind of documented his adventures in space. It's amusing, but not great. There are 3 Pixar studio shorts, which are great little 2-minute or so animated stories that Pixar animators or directors or technical people are telling these fun little office stories, basically, and they animated them just to add some extra funness to them. They're actually quite funny. They're short, but they are good. There's something called Buzz Takes Manhattan, which is a look at the Buzz Lightyear balloon being created for the Macy's parade, and even John Lasseter, who was super excited about that, taking the helm and leading the parade, or at least the Buzz Lightyear float in it, and holding onto the ropes and walking through the parade. And it's a cute little feature that just shows how excited John Lasseter gets about things. There's another really good bonus feature about 5 minutes long or so called Paths to Pixar, where it follows a select group of Pixar employees who have been there since the Toy Story days, or even possibly both before that, and how they got to work at Pixar and their experiences there, which is great for any aspiring animators or technical people out there who want to work at Pixar someday. You can hear the stories of how people actually got there and got the job. It is fairly interesting. There's also a Toy Story 3 sneak peek on there, which is a little odd since Toy Story 3 has been out for quite a while now, not only in theaters, but also at home, and now it's in 3D on the same day as this, so it seemed weird to include a Toy Story 3 sneak peek. Those are the new bonus features on there. The other features are very, very good, the older features, but you probably have them already. If you have an old DVD copy of Toy Story, you probably have seen the older features. If you haven't, this is definitely worth getting, but other than that, I'd say it's not really worth re-buying Toy Story unless you really, really want 3D, or if you don't already have the Blu-ray version that was previously out, then this one is definitely one to get. So now we move into the second film in the series, of course, that being Toy Story 2. And this release of Toy Story 2 is actually quite similar to the Toy Story 1 release. They're nearly mirror each other in bonus features and the way they're laid out, and the menu system, and the lenticular package on the outside. It's a 4-disc release, just like the other one, just like Toy Story 1 is. And again, the bonus features are separated from the old DVD ones, except this one doesn't include nearly as much. Excuse me, as the older feature. This one, once again, has more Buzz Lightyear NASA mission logs, which are, again, sort of entertaining, but not necessarily completely. It has more Pixar studio shorts, another set of those, which are, again, entertaining. They're different ones than on the Toy Story 1. There's another Paths to Pixar feature, this time focusing on technical artists, and, again, very entertaining, especially if you're interested in working at Pixar someday. But then there's a couple of newer, different features that are not similar to the ones on Toy Story 1. There's a look at the Pixar Zoetrope, which you can see at Disney California Adventure, and I think it was Hong Kong Disneyland. I could be mistaken on that. And this is the really amazing, physical, big, round sculpture where you see Buzz Lightyear and Woody and Jessie and the little aliens and Bullseye and all the other Toy Story characters in individual sculptures right next to each other all the way around, and when they turn on the strobe light and have it spinning in a circle really fast, suddenly it looks like it all comes to life right before you, basically showing you how animation works. So this is a little featurette on how they made this Zoetrope, which is pretty entertaining. There's also a 12-minute sort of short documentary remembering Joe Ranft, who was a huge part of creating the early Pixar films. He unfortunately passed away just a few years ago, and this is sort of a tribute to him, which is really nice. Beyond those bonus features, of course, there's the film itself. Toy Story 2 is a 1999 film, and this one looks great in 3D. It's really amazing what 4 years will do in the world of animation between Toy Story and Toy Story 2. There's huge leaps in just how the film looks unto itself. And then if you add 3D to it, you know, from the beginning with Emperor Zurg and working its way through Woody's Roundup and everything in between, this film actually looks really, really good in 3D. And so unlike Toy Story 1, I would say this time around, the 3D is worth repurchasing it, of course, if you have a 3D set at home. Now we move on to the third film, also came out this past Tuesday in 3D. Of course, that would be Toy Story 3. And Toy Story 3, this one's kind of an interesting release because Toy Story 3 has already been out on Blu-ray, and it's actually been out fairly recently on Blu-ray. It came out about a year ago is when Toy Story 3 hit Blu-ray, and I reviewed it at the time, actually, back in show 292, so about a year ago. And there's, you know what, this time around for the 3D version, there's no new bonus features. It's essentially the exact same release that they released last time around, except with the addition of 3D. So if you got the Blu-ray version last time, you have no reason to get this one at all unless you want 3D. But I will say that 3D looks better than ever. In fact, I think the home release of 3D, for whatever reason, actually looked better than when I saw it in theaters. Everything seemed brighter and easier to see and more depth. And I don't know, maybe it was just the set that I was watching it on or the environment or, you know, the theater versus the home environment. I'm not really sure. But regardless, Toy Story 3 looks really, really good in 3D. So again, if you're a fan of 3D, you want one of the best looking 3D films out there. 3D just doesn't get any sharper, clearer, or more vibrant than Toy Story 3, this new release. Now, I did say this was a quadruple review, so we have one more to talk about here, and that film is one. It's actually kind of a double review here because this is a film that I had never even seen before watching this. I never got around to seeing Cars 2 in theaters. So now I'm actually going to be reviewing the movie itself in addition to the new home release. And for whatever reason, the music stopped there in the background, but there it goes. It's continuing. Anyway, moving on. The movie itself, Cars 2, is what I will talk about first, followed by the actual new Blu-ray, 3D, etc., release. And you know, Cars 2 surprised me when I finally sat down to watch the movie, popped in the Blu-ray, and in the end, I think I actually liked Cars 2 better than Cars 1. I was not really a big fan of Cars 1. It was a good movie, but not a great movie. But Cars 2 started out a little slow. Actually, it started out really slow. I didn't really care about Finn McMissile, the new spy character, and it really felt like a contrived spy story shoved into the Cars universe. And then it cut to Mater in Radiator Springs, and I kind of rolled my eyes and thought, oh, here we go again, same old, same old. But then, as the movie went along, sort of that Pixar feeling was really injected to it. There was real action, not just, you know, fake feeling parody sort of action for cheap laughs. It felt like real action and real emotion and real connection. You know, even though these are cars with giant eyes, they're still characters. And really, while watching Cars 2, I think for the first time I felt like these Cars characters were a bit worthwhile. Mater, who I really did not like as a character in the first Cars film, really evolved in Cars 2 from being a bumbling idiot stereotype into kind of a bumbling idiot stereotype with heart and feelings. So I actually enjoyed watching Mater by the end of the movie, where I didn't really enjoy the character of Mater at all in Cars 1. On the flip side of that, Lightning McQueen, who was certainly the star of Cars 1, kind of takes a back seat to Mater in this Cars 2. Pardon the backseat pun. Mater is definitely the star of Cars 2, and surprisingly, it is a welcome change from the first one. there are certainly dazzling visuals throughout Cars 2, throughout the world, bringing the whole universe of Cars outside of Radiator Springs into Japan and Paris and Italy and London, and really great to see all of these worldly locales through the eyes of Pixar and brought into the Cars universe. Now, Cars 2, I didn't think had a lot of big laughs, a couple of chuckles here and there. It wasn't like a laugh-out-loud funny kind of movie, but the incredibly detailed locations, I think, were just some of the best Pixar animation to date. Overall, actually, it just looked amazing. The realism on the cars and the way that they shine and the textures and everything, I don't know, just looked really, really good. The spy story in the end actually really, really works. Cars 2 is not race-focused, but really it is a spy movie at heart, and with the characters of Finn McMissile and Holly Shiftwell, they were solid new characters by the end. The whole thing is really not what I was expecting. The end was a little bit predictable, kind of the story was a little bit predictable, but it was well-paced, and for someone who is not a fan of Cars 1, I actually did enjoy Cars 2. It's not a touching Pixar film. It's not going to make you cry like Toy Story 3, but it is good entertainment, and I can certainly understand now that I've seen it why John Lasseter has defended it so much. I would say if you liked the first one, if you liked Cars, then you'll really like Cars 2. If you didn't like Cars, you might still enjoy Cars 2. It's worth a watch. So now let's talk about this home release of Cars 2, and I must say, wow, now this is a home release. This is a perfectly executed movie coming home with a great assortment of bonus features, and many of them are aimed at adults, actually. Kids may not enjoy all the bonus features on here because of the information content that is in them on a huge variety of topics. The movie itself looks great in both HD and in 3D. And it sounds great. The race scenes are particularly good in 3D. When they do these sweeping shots of detailed landscapes. The movie Cars 2 is in this wide aspect ratio, 2.39 to 1, very different from the usual 16:9 of the other films. The Toy Story films that I was just talking about. So it gives that wide cinematic quality to it. And, it's just a really visually enjoyable film in this home 3D or just HD release. Coupled with the 7.1 surround, it just looks, it sounds great. There's rumbling and effects, and it ranges the whole gamut around the whole sound spectrum. And it's just a really solid release of this movie in a home environment. Now, in addition to the movie itself, you also find plenty of great bonus features. There's some on the main disc, and then there's some on a bonus disc that came with it as well. On the main disc, it includes the Cars Toon Air Mater, which is mildly entertaining. Although I was happy to see it was in 3D, which was really nice. And then in addition, there's also Hawaiian Vacation, which is the hilarious Toy Story tune, the first Toy Story tune, and I am definitely looking forward to more Toy Story tunes to come, because it was great to see the Toy Story gang, and it just a fun return. Even though it's a Cars release, it was a fun return to the world of Toy Story. And so moving on from there, as I said, there is a whole separate Blu-ray disc just for the bonus features. And that extra Blu-ray disc is categorized by destinations around the world. You can actually select on a map, kind of a globe that you spin around, different locations around the world: Paris, Italy, London, Germany, Japan, Pixar itself, etc. And you'll just find an assortment of great bonus features that are taking place in each of those. There's just too many to even mention here. There's one called The Nuts and Bolts of Cars Land, with John Ratzenberger hosting, showing off Cars Land at Disney California Adventure. Nothing really terribly new, although it is nice to see around the construction area of Cars Land at California Adventure, with Imagineers Kathy Mangum, Kevin Rafferty, and a few others. And And that's just one of many, 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 many features that are included, that include, making of features and behind-the-scenes animation and little fun stories and extended scenes. There's an extended version of the Tokyo race from the film where you can just watch nothing but the race. No dialogue, no cutaways, just the race itself. Which is really, really entertaining. And like I said, just too many to list here, from toys to a Pixar car show, and just a number of great additional bonus features that just really pack hours and hours worth of entertainment on this Cars 2 release. There's also some Easter eggs that you can hunt for by pressing up or down on the remote control, and I won't spoil those for you. Now, the only bad side to this release is that the bonus disc that I'm raving about here with all these extra bonus features is only available in the 3D combo pack. If you just buy the regular Blu-ray of Cars 2, you're not going to get the bonus disc, unfortunately. So that's Disney's way of forcing you to get the 3D version even if you don't have a 3D TV. But I will say 3D looks great, and it comes with a 3D trailer for Pixar's upcoming movie Brave, which looks phenomenal in 3D. Brave, of course, looks like a good film to begin with, and in this one, it seems like it's going to be Pixar's first must-see in 3D. Just the texture of the whole land and the grass and the trees and the flowing red hair of the main character for Brave, and it all just looks fantastic, and I really look forward to seeing that film when it comes out. So, with all of that said, I am going to make Cars 2 the 3D release this week's featured item. Of course, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 in 3D, as well as Cars 2, all make great Christmas gifts. So if you're planning on picking any of them up or any other Christmas presents, you can certainly go over to InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon, as I said earlier, to buy them through there. So there you go, my first ever quadruple DVD release. Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, as well as Cars 2.
Hi, Ricky. Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic listener feedback.
And now we do have quite a bit of listener feedback to get to. I didn't include any last week, so I want to jump right into it this week. First up is actually an email I probably should have mentioned on last week's show, but I didn't have any listener feedback at all. It comes from Mike in Georgia, who wanted me to wish a happy 8th birthday to his daughter, Alyssa. Actually a happy Halloween birthday, which is fun to have your birthday on Halloween. So Alyssa, I know it's late, almost a week late now, but happy birthday. Next up, an email from Andrew from Canada, who writes, Christmas is coming up and my overexcited relatives have already asked, what do you want for Christmas? I'd ask for money, but they're really picky about giving something material, so my mind automatically thought Disney paraphernalia. I wanted to get something good, but who do I know who has a ton of that? Well, you. So in your opinion, what are the top 4 must-have Disney collectibles and or books are under $100? It would be preferable that these be online or at a Disney store. P.S. I already have Imagineering Field Guide, Unofficial Disneyland Encyclopedia, Behind the Dreams look at making more magic real and the genesis of Disney theme parks. Well, Andrew, that is certainly a big question, and a good question for a future episode of Inside the Magic. Actually, I think I'll have to put together some sort of Disney shopping guide, either over at InsideTheMagic.net or here on the shows, to point to different products that are out and good ones to recommend for any Disney fan out there. Right now, off the top of my head, I just have a million things swirling around that you could possibly get for a Disney fan. So what I want to do is actually throw it out to anybody out there. If you have something that is on your Christmas list, something that is Disney, of course, that you want to get for Christmas, send me an email at ricky@insidethemagic.net. Let me know what you're asking for Christmas, and I will share that list with everybody to give everybody the ideas for what to ask for, and we can kind of pool it all together, and then maybe we'll get some really good treats from Santa this year. So, Andrew, stay tuned. I will have more to answer your question soon. Next up, Paul sent me a very long email about the Trivial Pursuit Disney for All edition that I had mentioned during my rattling off of Disney's own recommended top 10 Disney gifts for the holidays recently. And Paul sent in a review of that game. He says, during your discussion of Trivial Pursuit Disney for All, you mentioned that the questions for the Ultimate Disney Trivia Tournament, which was held at the D23 Expo, came from the game. Well, although Hasbro sponsored the trivia tournament and every question who made it to the semifinals got a copy of it, the questions were actually a result of several months of hard work by a couple of dedicated members of the Walt Disney Archives. I know this because I was one of the finalists in the tournament. I got a chance to talk with the folks who put together the tournament. No slight intended to the folks from Hasbro, but I wanted to make sure credit was given where it's due. My copy was of Trivial Pursuit Disney for All is still in its packaging. I'm a Disney collector. What can I say? My girlfriend bought another copy at the expo, and I've had a chance to play the game with her and her 13-year-old daughter. The thing about the game is that it's an update of the Trivial Pursuit Disney edition. The game has been changed a bit so that more family members can play along. The old edition of the game had 2 boxes of trivia questions, one for adults and one for kids, with 6 categories of questions, like the other versions of Trivial Pursuit. The Disney for All edition replaces that with 3 sets of cards for 3 different categories of questions. Unlike the earlier edition where everyone played as an individual, you're encouraged to play in teams this time. Actually, you almost have to play in teams because there are only 2 game mover pieces supplied with the game. As I mentioned a second ago, there are 3 categories. A Disney list, where players are given a list of Disney items and have to create a list to find the items that don't belong, such as being given a list of 5 names and being asked to tell which are the names of characters in A Bug's Life. The second category is called Take 2 Trivia, where the first question on the card is Disney-related, and if your team can't answer the first question, you have a second question of general trivia related somehow to the first question that your team can try. For example, if the first question is about Ratatouille, the second question might be about Paris, where the movie is set. The third category is My Disney, where a member of the opposing team is asked to choose an answer to a multiple-choice Disney-related question. For example, which character from High School Musical would you rather have on your team? And the other team has to guess their answer. Unlike the traditional Disney or Trivial Pursuit question cards, the questions and answers are all on one side of the card, and the other side has an illustration or photo from the Disney item that inspired the question. To allow folks to see the questions without them seeing the answers, the game contains a magic wand, which is a piece of plastic with a red Mickey-shaped lens on the end and a dial used to choose the multiple-choice answer on the other end. The lens is used for the first 2 categories, and the dial is used for My Disney. The object of the games is same as the standard Trivial Pursuit. Fill your game piece with 6 wedges and answer 1 more question from a category, and you win. So how does it all play? Well, the questions are a nice mix of classic Disney and modern Disney with from every part of Disney, from movies, theme parks, TV, and on. Pixar and Disney Channel are well represented, which I think gives younger players a better shot at being competitive, but there's enough classic Disney to keep adults happy. The categories and team concept keep everyone involved in the game regardless of their level of Disney knowledge. So if you've played standard Trivial Pursuit, the differences in this game take some getting used to. The vast knowledge of trivia won't give you as much of an advantage with other editions of Trivial Pursuit. My girlfriend, her daughter, and I have played the game on several nights in the last few months, and it is still a favorite on game nights. It's a challenge for all of us, and while I've done pretty well when we've played, my girlfriend and her daughter, who love Disney but aren't as fanatical as I am, can still give me a run for my money. Paul, thanks very much for that extensive email about Disney Trivial Pursuit, the new Disney for All edition. That sounds like one that any Disney fans looking for a new game should put on their holiday Christmas list, as recommended by Disney, but certainly recommended by you. And also thanks for that correction about the D23 Expo Ultimate Disney Trivia Tournament. I didn't realize that all the questions weren't necessarily from that. I guess I got confused about all that. So good to know there, and sounds like I'll have to give that game a shot. Sounds pretty fun. And next up, an email from Paul, who I don't think is the same Paul. This Paul says, just caught show 342 and wanted to let you know that I picked up the Lego Black Pearl set, also on Disney's Christmas list, at Costco for only $80 as compared to Target, where it's $100. So hopefully you know someone who has a membership, or you have a membership. The tough part is that I'll be waiting for Christmas to build it with my kids. Paul, great. Thanks very much for that tip. $80 is a much better price for the new Black Pearl Lego kit. Here's an email I certainly couldn't pass up sharing because it has to do with Halloween. Actually, Halloween over in Disneyland Paris, where Angeline writes in and says, I recently listened to Inside the Magic, where you talked about the terrorific nights at Disneyland Paris. Well, I live near Disneyland Paris and had the chance to go to one of them last Sunday. Thought you'd like to hear about it. It was the third year for Terrorific Nights, second time for me, and the first time Disney organized two of them on the same year, October 29th and 30th. Compared to last year, there was a major improvement concerning the scare zones and street atmosphere. Our Walt Disney Studios park is not a very large park, and there were still 4 scare zones and a few happenings beside them, like very scary headless horsemen. A few attractions were re-themed for the night, some of them only very, very slightly, some fog and strobe lights and Crush's Coaster, and others were completely different from their non-terrorific versions. For example, there were zombies running along the tram and jumping on cars, scaring everybody while we ride the studio tram tour, and the poor guy playing the guitar in the pre-show of the Rock and Roller Coaster is viciously murdered by a man with a chainsaw. That's certainly a change. I had a good time during this terrorific night. I think Disneyland Paris is on the good way as far as scare zones and street atmosphere are concerned, but I can still improve the attraction's re-theming. But as you are a regular guest of the Universal Halloween Horror Nights and other events in your area, I think you might be slightly disappointed if you visit our Terrorific Nights because they are much less important and intense. Angeline, thanks very much for that report. It's interesting to hear how Halloween is integrated in that park, particularly that Rock and Roller Coaster bit. I can just imagine that happening out here at Hollywood Studios, and would love to see that type of event making its way out here for Halloween. Perhaps they're looking to fine-tune it in Paris before they bring anything like that out here. Perhaps it'll never happen, I don't know, but someday maybe I'll make it out to Paris to see that. So thanks very much for that email. And now let's give my voice a rest for a second, and let's go on over to Jeffrey as a voice message.
Ricky, this is Jeff from Salt Lake City. I'm listening to your broadcast, and you are talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean and how the video actually looks like it is from a home video, that the movement's a little too smooth. I've noticed that too, not just with that, but with many different videos when I got a new TV that refreshed at a megahertz that's over 60 hertz. So I guess the refresh rate, when you get above that, it makes it very, very smooth, and I think your description was actually fairly accurate. My description would be it's almost as if you are there looking through a window rather than looking at a TV. So hope that helps, and appreciate the podcast.
Well, thanks very much for that call. This, of course, is in reference to the review I did recently of the Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides home release in 3D, where I said just what you just said, that it was a very smooth, almost television home video-like motion rather than the film version. And I didn't want to get into all the specifics about why I thought that was or, was happening, just that I was making a note of it happening. Well, certainly what you just said is true as far as frame rates, and Jason actually wrote in from Nebraska and added by saying it's not how it was filmed, and it's not the Blu-ray because that's still 24p. However, many TVs have a feature that can be enabled to double or triple the frame rate, giving it that smoothing look. In the film industry, we call that frame interpolation. There's actually a fix. It is actually a fix to stuttering problems from panning too fast or because of fast action scenes. If the setting is too high, it gives the digital video look. And just like you said, like it was filmed on your home video camera, that's because consumer camcorders film at 29.96 or 30 frames per second, and the commercial ones at 24 frames per second. So if you don't like the way it looks, find an option that is labeled smoothing or frame interpolation or something similar and play with it until it looks like normal film. And then Matt also wrote in and talked about perhaps the difference between an LED TV and having an auto motion feature and putting it in cinematic mode. And certainly the solution to all of this is know what you're doing with your TV. There's a lot of settings when it comes to HD TVs, and Blu-ray and 3D particularly adds another whole layer of frame rates and refresh rates, and a lot of technical details can go into that. So my observation that Pirates looked smoother than usual may not reflect exactly on the release itself, but rather just the settings that go along with this live action release. So thanks very much to everybody who emailed and called about that topic. And now let's go back to another voice message, this time from Ron.
Hi, Ricky. This is Ron from Kentucky. I just wanted to call and tell you that after hearing on your podcast about the Whatnot Muppet puppet offered at Toys R Us, courtesy of FAO Schwartz, went right out and got me one. I've always wanted to have something very similar to that for like the last 40 years of my life, and finally had that available. And I just wanted to thank you for letting us know about that. I went out and I got one. I haven't actually opened it up yet and looked at it or seen what it, reviewed it or played with it or anything, but I'm guaranteed I'll enjoy it. Just want to let you know about that, and I may call back or may email you with a review of the product if you were interested in that. So that's all I wanted to say. I just want to say thanks for letting me know about that. I wouldn't have known about it without anything on your broadcast. So thank you very much. See you later. Bye.
Well, thanks very much for that call. It's always good to hear that what we talk about here on Inside the Magic can influence anybody's purchasing decisions, particularly when it relates to something as fun as the Muppet Whatnot kit, available to put together your own Muppet, basically, for I think it was $60 or so. A pretty good deal. So hopefully you can enjoy it, and yeah, definitely call in with another quick review of what you thought after wanting something like that for so many years. It'll be interesting to hear what you actually think about it. Next up, an email from Steven. This is actually one of a number of people who wrote in about the $1,000 Disney shopping card that I mentioned a few weeks ago, where you get the free pin set by forking over $1,000 to Disney. I had mentioned that you could, use that $1,000 toward annual passes or some other tickets that you might have gotten anyway, and it wouldn't be so bad. Well, Steven and a number of other people corrected me, saying you may want to double check that. I read somewhere that this is not the same as a Disney gift card. It is a Disney Parks shopping card, which means it's only good for merchandise, not food, not hotel rooms, not tickets, not third-party owned locations such as the Mitsukoshi store at Epcot's Japan Pavilion. And from what I read, you cannot even get discounts on purchases like an annual pass discount. Not 100% sure on that, but I thought you should know in case it's true. Well, definitely thanks very much for that. Definitely a good correction to make. Anybody out there considering giving Disney $1,000 to get the shopping card and also the pin set, you want to make sure that you've got $1,000 worth of merchandise that you actually want to buy, because apparently it does not apply for tickets and the like. And now we're going to go back over to the voicemail mail once again.
Hey, Ricky, this is Easton from Santa Cruz, California, in Central California here. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I listen to it every week religiously. And I was just wondering, your delivery and your show organization, it's all fantastic. And I just wondered if you had any broadcasting experience. I'm a newscaster at a local radio station here, so I kind of pick up on those kind of things. I'm just wondering if you just got into podcasting as a hobby, or if you ever had any gig as a TV or news reporter or radio reporter in the past. Thanks for all, Ricky. Keep it up.
Thanks very much for that call. I don't have any kind of professional broadcasting experience in the past. Back in high school is probably when I started doing this sort of thing. Obviously in high school as sort of amateur video production and the like. But no, I've never had any sort of professional experience. So what you're hearing or watching, if you're watching the video version, is basically just the last 6.5 years or so of doing Inside the Magic and steadily improving, well, hopefully improving, and just making it better over time. I guess if you practice something every single week for 6.5 years, then eventually, hopefully you get better at it. So thanks for that call. Next up, an email from Tina, who writes, I'm hoping you or listeners of your podcast can help. We were planning a trip to Disney for an April vacation, and I want to surprise my daughter with a stocking full of packaged Disney snacks, like the one you can buy at Goofy's Candy Company. My question is, do you know if these items are available for purchase via the web or just on property? Tina, I have never seen the Goofy's Candy Company snacks available anywhere except there, at Walt Disney World or Disneyland. I don't know if you can mail order them. You can certainly try calling the mail order line and see if they'll ship out food products to you, gummy bears and that kind of thing, but I am not sure if they will. So maybe somebody else out there can answer that question, but as far as I know, you can't just go to Walmart or something and buy Goofy's Candy Company anywhere else, and I don't know of anywhere online either, unfortunately. All right, we've got one more email from Anthony, who writes, my dad and I are going to Walt Disney World from December 1st through 6th, and I had a few questions. We heard the Christmas Day Parade will be taping during our stay, and what are your thoughts on that? Should we try to see it or avoid it altogether? How should this affect our touring plans? Next question is, would you say giving up a day of Walt Disney World is worth it to visit the Wizarding World of Harry Potter? My last question is, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party worth the price, or are we better off saving our money and seeing the electrical parade another night? Anthony, really great trip planning questions that you have there. Let me see what I can do to answer all of them for you. First up, the Christmas Day Parade is certainly, the taping of that is certainly an experience. It's sort of a mixed bag. The town square, Main Street, and the hub are completely taken over by the parade taping, and it's tough to weasel your way in and even see anything, and they'll do a parade unit over and over and over all day. It's something that goes on for hours and hours. Sometimes they're blaring loud music. Certainly takes away from the usual Christmas time wonderful environment on Main Street, and it's very, very crowded in the park in those areas for that day. However, the rest of the park, not so bad. Because everybody's on Main Street watching the taping, the rest of the park is kind of open, not as crowded. So if you don't mind what's going on Main Street, don't mind that atmosphere kind of being quote-unquote ruined by the taping, then you can actually have an enjoyable day in the park, throughout the rest of the park, and you could catch some of the taping as well. With that said, it does add extra crowds to the park, and when the taping is not going on, or by the time it ends, or between exciting parts, the rest of the park could potentially get more crowded. So it'll be a decision whether or not you want to try to see any of the taping, if you want to stand there and watch that whole thing, or if you just want to go on a regular, normal Magic Kingdom day. My personal opinion, having been to a taping of the thing, it's not great. It is kind of slow and repetitive, and unless you're a big fan of one of the acts that's going to be performing, which of course have not been announced or anything, it may not be worth heading over there to see that. Your next question, should you give up a day of Walt Disney World to head over to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter? I would say that depends on two things. One, how big of a Harry Potter fan you are, and two, if you've ever been to Islands of Adventure before. Islands of Adventure at Universal Orlando is a fantastic park. Really great roller coasters, really great rides. Spider-Man is a fantastic ride, and of course the Wizarding World of Harry Potter itself is wonderful. If you are a Harry Potter fan, you will love the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and I would say absolutely it's worth going over there for a day. If you're not such a big Harry Potter fan, you'll still enjoy it, but you'll have to make that decision whether or not you're missing things that are more exciting to you over at Disney in favor of going to Islands of Adventure or not. Overall, you will have a good time as long as you're into roller coasters and thrill rides at Islands of Adventure, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, it's even more of a bonus to see that. Your final question, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, is it worth the price? Again, it's another one of those depends on your situation. If you're already planning on going to the Magic Kingdom separately from the Christmas party, it may not be worth the entire price. The Christmas parade is enjoyable. It's a very long parade, and it is quite entertaining. The Christmas fireworks, also entertaining, and then you get, you got the cookies and the hot chocolate and that kind of thing, but I wouldn't use that to sway your decision. Really, your main entertainment during the Christmas party are the parade and fireworks. And then, of course, you get the Magic Kingdom with low crowds, and you can get to a lot of the attractions for many hours with very, very little lines. But if you're already planning on going to the Magic Kingdom and you're going to do that whole thing and you don't really care about experiencing that park with very few lines, then going to the party, really you're just going for the parade and fireworks when it comes down to it. So yes, there's additional atmosphere and the whole Christmas feeling and some extra character meet and greets that are Christmassy. But for me, the parade and fireworks are really the draw of the Christmas party, and so you have to decide whether or not you want to see those for the price, or if you'd rather see the Main Street Electrical Parade another night, which, in my opinion, is Disney's best parade. But the Christmas Party Parade is really good either. So I don't know, kind of on the fence on that question. Depends on how much time you're going to be spending in the Magic Kingdom otherwise, and how much in the Christmas spirit you will be. So, let's see. I think that was it for... no, I lied. I've got just a couple of more quick voicemails to share. If anybody in the chat room has a quick question, feel free to fire it out right now, and I'll answer those before wrapping up the show. But first, we're going to go on over to another voicemail.
Hi, Ricky. My name is Zach, and I just wanted to say you're doing a real good job. My question was, do you know the opening date of Cars Land? Yeah, do you know any opening? And if you're going to be coming out for the next Comic-Con to San Diego, I would really like to see you there. Thanks. Have a magical day. Bye. Hi, Ricky. I was wondering if you're ever going to make a video of your Haunted Mansion room you have in your house. I've seen pictures, but I've always wanted to see a complete video of all the Disney merchandise you've got and stored in there. Thanks, and have a magical week. Bye.
All right, well, thanks very much for those calls. Good questions there. And first question, Cars Land opening date has not been announced yet. I'll certainly share that information as soon as Disney releases it. It's going to be summer 2012 at some point, so not sure exactly when that will be. San Diego Comic-Con, not sure if I'm coming out again next year. Very, very possible. I had a really good time this past time around on my first trip out to that, so I hope to come out again for that. And final question, Haunted Mansion room video. Yeah, I definitely want to give an updated tour. Right now, the Haunted Mansion room is not exactly all put together. Got a bunch of new stuff from the Room for One More event, so lots to add onto the room and kind of get it organized. Once all that's organized, I'll have to update it with some pictures and videos. So thanks very much for the call. And now, jumping into the chat room, let's see. We've got a question from Master Source 2 asking if there's going to be Disney's Magical Fireplace released this year on Blu-ray. Of course, that's a Yule log thing that Disney releases every year where you can put it up on your TV and enjoy while opening your presents or whatever that, holiday time over dinner or whatever. And no, unfortunately, I haven't heard anything about Disney's Magical Fireplace being in a high-definition release, a Blu-ray release. But that'd be nice. So if I hear anything about that, I will certainly share that. And let's see, Whopper King 2565 asked, does Universal do anything for birthdays? Of course, Disney does, birthday buttons and that kind of thing. And, I've never actually heard about Universal doing anything special for any birthdays. So, I'll have to look into that next time I'm over there. Maybe I'll pop into guest relations at Universal, and when it's my birthday's in just about 3 weeks from now. So maybe I'll head over there and see if there is anything that they would do for that time. I don't know. I probably won't go to Universal on my birthday, but maybe I'll go around that time of year and see what they do. And, I don't see any more immediate questions from the chat room. The show is already running long, so it's probably time to wrap it up anyway. So we're going to go ahead and say that's it for your listener feedback this week.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
that about does it for show 344 of Inside the Magic. Another sort of assorted show here earlier on a Sunday afternoon, because I'm going to be heading over to the Epcot Food and Wine Festival for some yummy lunch here very shortly. I have not eaten anything yet today, so I'm looking forward to doing that. So time to wrap up this show. But before we do that, I do want to thank everybody once again for voting for us in the Podcast Awards. It is wonderful that we won Best Produced in the awards, so thanks very, 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 very much to everybody who voted. It is wonderful to finally take home one of those podcast awards. I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's episode of Inside the Magic. You can find out more about their travel services by visiting magicaltravel.com. Also, you can get a free Audible trial and free Audible audiobook download over at audibletrial.com/InsideTheMagic. Not only do you get access to over 85,000 titles there, but you support Inside the Magic when you sign up for a free trial as well. And if you want to support Inside the Magic even further during this Christmas shopping season, and you're going to be shopping on Amazon, do so by going to InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon first. Click through that link, then add items to your cart on Amazon, and we'll get credit for anything you buy, and it helps support us very much. Of course, visit us over at lanyardlab.com to see all the different styles and custom lanyard options that we have available. Request a price quote today to receive a free digital preview of your lanyard design. And visit InsideTheMagic.net. It is your source for Disney and theme park news. Between episodes of this show, you can get all the latest updates and videos and photos and all that kind of good stuff. We'll be diving into the Christmas season very, very soon. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You'll find the links over on the website for those as well. So once again, thanks to all of you for listening and for watching each and every week. And have a magical week. Bye.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream